Welcome to Neo Royal, House of Pricey Cardboard. On today's episode of Commander Gameplay, we have another match recorded in paper, featuring the new Rakdos Commander, Prosper Tome Bound. This will also be the episode where you can leave a comment and be entered to win the Esper precon from the same set. Just leave me a comment with your favorite card from Adventure in the Forgotten Realms, and I will pick a comment at random as a winner. Just be aware that I need to be able to ship it to you for a reasonable price. It wouldn't make sense to pay $100 to ship a precon, you know what I mean? Katie will be playing Prosper Tome Bound. At the moment of recording, she added only a handful of cards, so the deck is very similar to the default list. It's trying to gain value by casting cards from exile and then winning the game with something like Marionette Master. Next time you see Prosper on the channel, it would be a smidge stronger. Hugo will be playing Ranar, the Ever-Watchful. This is a Polymorph and Foretell list, looking to get spirits by using the Foretell mechanic from Kalain and then turn these 1/1s into bigger threats like angels or traitors. Being in Azorius, the deck is aiming for the late game with quite a few control spells and runs a lot of flyers. François will be playing a new Rakdos deck as well, Kalain, Reclusive, Painter. This list cares a lot about treasures and creatures. While it can definitely win with the Marionette Master as well, any creature Frank will cast using treasure will come with multiple +1/+1 counters, triggering cards like Terror of the Peaks. For myself, I will be playing Shadrix Silverquill. This is a Voltron deck trying to use Shadrix native double strike with equipments to take out my opponents. I run a couple of Hatebears and some keyword soup synergies. I tried and turned Shadrix's gift into something I could take back. Kelly's opening hand contains Pontiff of Blight, Vandal Blast, Bucknard's Everfull Purse, Commander Sphere, Spine Rock Knoll, and 2 basic mountains. Hugo's opening hand contains Moldrifter, Polymorph, Reweave, Saw It Coming, a basic island, and 2 basic planes. Frank's opening hand contains Gedrak the Crown Scourge, Rakdos Lord of Riots, Soaring, Vault of Whispers, 2 basic swamps, and a basic mountain. My opening hand contains Mangara the Diplomat, Shadow Spear, Smothering Tide, Vault of Champions, Fitted Heat, Bujika Bug, and a basic planes. Frank gets to start this off, and land drops a Vault of Whisper, followed by a turn 1 Soul Ring. Hugo land drops an island, while Kelly land drops Spine Rock Knoll. She hides away a card and pass. I land drop a Plains and end turn 1. François land drops a mountain and casts his commander, Kalain, Reclusive, Painter.
Should we go with a fiery red or a crimson red?
Entering the battlefield, he creates a treasure. He then uses this treasure to cast Gedrak the Crown Scourge, entering with a +1/+1 counter. Hugo land drops an island, and Kelly land drops a mountain. She casts Bucknard's Everfull Purse. I land drop Vault of Champion and pass. Frank land drops a Dragon Skull Summit. Heading into combat, Kalain attacks Hugo. Hugo land drops a Plains and passes once more. Kelly land drops a Command Tower and casts Commander's Sphere with that sweet new art. She activates the purse and creates 3 treasures, before giving the artifact to François. On my turn, I cast Knight of the White Orchid, searching my library for a godless shrine with the ETB. I then drop my own Command Tower and pass. Frank then drops a mountain. Going to combat, he sends Kalain to Kelly this time.
Je joue Rakdos. Pas encore,
In second main, he casts Rakdos, Lord of Riots. Hugo then drops a Plains, and casts his commander, Ranar, the Ever-Watchful.
It is time to duel.
He then set down a trap card, creating a 1/1 spirit token. Kelly then drops a mountain, and casts our commander as well, Prosper Tome Bound.
Young Prosper, you've met a terrible fate, haven't you?
At the end step, she exiled Danse Macabre for the next turn and pass.
Voilà, c'est des démonistes.
Des magogs! Peu importe quoi, c'est laid!
I then drop a swamp, and basically encircle my Ash Barrens for another swamp. I then cast Mangara the Diplomat.
Aïe!
Oh, c'est
Arrête pas de voler!
ça arrive à la moitié le problème.
Elle l'a eu à chaque game que j'ai joué.
C'est vrai, la première, elle l'a pas eu.
Franklin drops a swamp and ends his turn. Hugo plays another trap card, and then casts Polymorph on the new spirit.
Polymorph, mon spirit qui vient de rentrer. On va voir qu'est-ce qui va se passer. Je vais essayer de faire sucer.
Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé?
Kelly then drops a mountain. She heads into combat, sending Prosper to me. In second main, she casts Frank's Rakdos, triggering Prosper for a treasure. She then casts Grim Hireling.
C'est la première fois que je joue Colossus.
Jouer!
C'est la première fois qu'il va tomber sur le battlefield.
At the end step, Prosper exiles Wild Magic Sorcerer from the top deck and Kelly passes. I then drop a swamp and cast Orzhov's Signet. I then cast my commander, Shadrix Silverquill. At the beginning of combat, Shadrix triggers. I give an Inkling token to François and draw a card.
Ça vient changer la dynamique de la game. Ça va être une game slow.
Biggest dog!
Franklin drops a swamp, and casts Fire Diamond and once again passes with mana open. On his turn, Hugo sets another card face down.
Chez qui je m'en vais à cette heure? On va brasser un dé ici. Ouais, ben, je veux dire, j'ai pas de.
For his combat step, the Blightsteel Colossus attacks me, and I block with Knight of the White Orchid, taking 9 infect.
Still alive!
Still alive? Barely hanging.
Kelly casts the Wild Magic Sorcerer. She goes to combat, sending Rakdos to Hugo. Using Rakdos Reduction, she casts Pontiff of Blight for 2 mana. Hugo reacts with one of his trap cards, Saw It Coming, countering the spell. She then casts Bag of Devouring, and at the end step, Prosper exiles Chaos 1 for next turn. And then drop a Plains and cast Eleshnorn Grand Cenobite.
Je vais payer bleu. Puis choisir Spirit. Fait que la prochaine créature.
Hugo was not out of answers sadly and reacts with Mystic Reflection, targeting a spirit of his own. I then cast Shadow Spear, and at the beginning of combat, I create an Inkling while Frank put +1/+1s on his creatures. Franklin drops a Cabal Coffers.
Lui, il va peut-être te souligner, là, peut-être que les autres vont faire genre, ah, ça va, c'est ça.
Qui m'a soumis de 6-6 Ouais.
Heading into combat, the Inkling attacks Hugo, while Kalain attacks Kelly, who blocks with Prosper. In second main, Frank recasts Kalain, getting a treasure on ETB. And at the end step, Hugo finally activates the purse, creating 3 treasures.
La stupid card.
Going straight to combat, Blightsteel goes to Kelly, who blocks with Hireling, taking 9 infect as well. In second main, Hugo casts Alrun's Ep.59, taking an extra turn and creating 2 birds. On his extra turn, Hugo casts Mold Drifter. He then drops a Plains and Foretell a card. He then hops into combat, bringing the Blightsteel to me again, while 2 birds and Ranar go to Kelly. I block with everything I have, taking no additional infect. Gedrak triggers for 3 treasures on Frank's side. On her turn, Kelly casts Chaos 1 from exile. The Wild Sorcerer grants it Cascade, and Kelly flips into Warlock class. She then activates the Chaos 1, targeting Hugo.
Voilà.
Hey,
Oh,
t'as
ouais,
l'exil!
ça marche.
Ça, tu fais un bird.
Oh
Il
yeah!
fait un trésor!
Ouais.
He reveals Raven form, and Kelly uses it to exile the Blightsteel. Not quite done, she sends Rakdos to Hugo for 6. At the end step, Prosper triggers and exiles Chittering Witch. I'll end drop a swamp and recast my commander.
Maintenant, il y a un mode dans ton deck, si tu joues un mode, tu peux tuer Phil. Avec Proliférer.
Je peux les tuer.
I just saved your life. And yours too. And mine too.
Mais si tu fais ça, ça devrait être tellement drôle.
I cast Sword of the Animist. At the beginning of combat, I draw a card and put +1/+1s on Kelly's creatures. Franklin drops a mountain. He sends Kalain to Hugo for 1.
Oh!
Ça sert à rien, il va que je le donne à Phil.
Ouais?
Je peux le donner à la fin de ton tour si je fais.
Je veux avoir le sac
Tout le monde veut le sac à main.
On his turn, Hugo casts Divine Visitation. He then foretells a card and creates a 4/4 angel with vigilance from Ranar.
Avec la
En réaction, Phil va te donner un sac à main.
Yeah!
Un trésor!
Il était vide, le sac à marre. Hugo l'a gardé trop longtemps.
Going to combat, Ranar, 2 birds and 4 spirits attack Kelly. Kelly untaps and starts with combat. She sends Prosper to Hugo for 2. In second main, she casts the Chittering Witch, cascading into Chaos Warp. She shuffles the Divine Vegetation and Hugo reveals a Plains. She then casts Mind Stone and pass. I'll end drop a Fitted Heat and cast Bolas Citadel.
J'ai joué une land comme un STP!
Oui!
Ah, c'est pas grave. Wow!
I cast the following spell from the top of my library, paying life instead of mana. Atrios, God of Passage.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. J'aime pas ça. Massacre War!
Oh, this is bad.
Oh,
je vais avoir mal en tabarnak. Oh.
Kelly reacts by sacrificing 3 rats to Chittering Witch. She gives -2/-2 to Shadrix and -4/-4 to Gedrak. She then sacrifices the witch to the Bag of Devouring to draw. Massacre Worm then enters the battlefield and gives -2/-2 to all my opponent's creatures. François loses 6 and Hugo loses 14. I then go back to my library for Arcane Signet, followed by Grasp of Fate. I target Soaring, Ranar, and Prosper. Kelly reacts by activating the Chaos One, targeting Hugo. He reveals Windfall. Because of the Wild Magic Sorcerer, Windfall cascades into Fiend Lash. We then discard and draw 4. Grasp of Fate then resolves and both commanders go back to the command zone. I cast from my deck Fellwar Stone, Mother of Rune, Bastion Protector, Talisman of Hierarchy, and Soul Ring.
C'est assez chanceux quand même.
I equip Sword of the Animist and Shadow Spear to my commander. At the beginning of combat, Shadrix triggers. I put +1/+1s on my creatures and give an Inkling to François. I think a bit about my attacks and decide to attack Hugo because he is most likely to board wipe in the next turn, and on attack I search my library for a basic land. Hugo reacts by casting Generous Gift on Bastion Protector. I have a reaction of my own, casting Malakir Rebirth on the Protector. I forgot to make the 3/3 Elephant token. Hugo then takes 14 and I gain that much life because of lifelink. In second main, now that I shuffled, I go back to my library, casting Leonin Arbiter, Pure Steel Paladin, and I then hit another land, passing. Franklin drops Smoldering March. In a total Treason act, he sends the Inkling to me. In second main, he casts Orcus, Prince of Undeath, where X equals 8. Massacre Worm triggers on my opponent's creatures, and then Atrios will trigger on mine.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 triggered Atrios. C'est quoi ça fait? Tu perds 3 de vie si je l'envoie à la poubelle, ou sinon je vais l'envoyer. Ah,
Frank pays the life to send Shadrix, the Bastion Protector, Mother of Rune, and Massacre Worm to my graveyard, while I get to put Pure Steel Paladin and Leonin Arbiter back to my hand. He then casts Magda, Brazen Althla, and pass. On her turn, Kelly casts Valakut Exploration. She then drops a Pudgkebug, getting rid of my graveyard. The exploration triggers and exiles Ignite the Future. She replays Prosper, and go to end step. Prosper exiles Rakdos Charm and the exploration deals us 1 damage. I use this time to activate the purse, creating 2 treasures. On my turn, I cast Pure Steel Paladin from hand. I cast from my library Sigiri Shelter, granting it protection from black. I continue with Dark Ritual and land up an isolated chapel. I cast Odric Lunarch Marshal and then hit a second land. I recast Shadrix from the command zone and replay the Leonin Arbiter. I then equip both my equipments on my commander. Kelly reacts by casting Rakdos Charm to destroy the Shadow Spear. Without haste, I pass. Frank lands up a mountain and recasts his commander, getting a treasure and passing. Kelly lands up a swamp, exiling Rakdos Signet with the exploration. She casts Favored Suspicion. She gets Concerted Effort from me and Agadim's Awakening from Frank. She then equips the Lash on Prosper and casts the Signet from exile. At the end step, Prosper exiles terminate, and we go to my turn. I cast Shram from the top of my library. I then try and go to combat, but Frank has a reaction, casting Hurl Through Hell on Odric. I then go to combat, but without the double striking team. I send Shadrix to Frank, paying 2 mana to search my library and find a basic. Frank then takes 6. In second main, I cast Demonic Tutor from the top of my library. Being post-combat, it reduces my ability to win now. I also have less life than my opponents, so cards like Pestilence won't save me here. I put Sword of War and Peace to hand. I then cast the sword, drawing on cast and on ETB. I cast Rogue's Glove from the top, drawing 2 again. I cast Always Watching from my hand, and equip the sword on the paladin. I also equip the gloves on my commander before passing. On his turn, Frank casts my Odric from exile. He then casts Marionette's Master. As I know he already controls 2 treasures, I react by activating the Citadel, sacrificing 10 non-land permanents and making my opponents lose 10 life. Kelly gets smarts about this and gives the purse to Frank before he gets taken out. The purse will then come back to her. At Kelly's upkeep, the vision rebounds. She gets my top card, which is Pestilence. She lands up a swamp and exiles a land to the exploration. She then only needs to pay 6 black mana to deal us both 6 damage, winning this match. Well played. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Don't forget to leave me a comment to be entered for a chance to win the Esper precon. The deck seems pretty cool, including cards like Midnight Path Lighter, which I played against on the Arena of the Ancients. Take care my friend, and we'll see you very soon.